Today I am excited to have a quick chat with Xavier Lerma, who the famed Russian news site Pravda, which ironically was formed as the official communist publication of the former Soviet Union, which recently released a scathing opinion column entitled Obama's Soviet Mistake, in which he unabashedly labels the U.S. president a communist without question, promoting the Communist Manifesto without calling it so. Mr. Lerma, you state in your column how Obama's cult of personality has mesmerized the ignorant in America, who will follow the hope and change icon in much the same way as fools still praise Lenin and Stalin in Russia. That's quite a scathing characterization. How do you respond?
It's simple. Obama's fools and Stalin's fools share the same drink of illusion. He is a communist without question, promoting the Communist Manifesto without calling it so. How shrewd he is. In America, his cult of personality mesmerizes those who cannot go beyond their ignorance. They will continue to follow him like those fools who still praise Lenin and Stalin in Russia. Obama's fools and Stalin's fools share the same drink of illusion, liberalism as a psychosis.
You obviously think that there is some sort of cause and effect with type of mindset, or as you call it, psychosis. So let me ask you, Mr. Lerma, you question if Americans have ever read history and concluded that American schools have been conquered by communists long ago, paving the way for a revisionist history that would only lead to the election of a communist president in the U.S.
President Vladimir Putin could never have imagined anyone so ignorant or so willing to destroy their people like Obama, much less seeing millions vote for someone like Obama.
Mr. Lerma, our American president isn't the only one to draw your ire or rage. Is that a fair statement?
That is correct. There is also the pervasive influence of the organizations, like the ACLU, and as well others that are responsible for the eroding of America's Christianity, which of course was one of the key tenets of the Soviet Union. Look, the red, white, and blue still flies. Happily, but only in Russia. Russia still has St. George defeating the dragon, with the symbol of the cross on its flag. The ACLU and other atheist groups in America would never allow the U.S. flag with such religious symbols. There would be lawsuits aplenty against such religious freedom and expression in the land of the free. Christianity in the United States is under attack, as it was during the early period of the Soviet Union, when religious symbols were against the law.
What do you think in terms of all of the U.S. states that have filed petitions to secede from the Union after the November elections?
I would coins these Americans hostages to the communists in power, who will eventually need to rise up in the face of tyranny. There is a powerful comparison of the suffering endured for nearly a century under the oppression and brutality of the USSR, and reminds me of the lyrics in that Don McLean's famed song, Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry.
Wow. Those are powerful words indeed.
Don't you liberals in America realize that Russia lost its civil war with the Reds and millions suffered torture and death for almost 75 years under the tyranny of the United Soviet Socialist Republic? Russians survived with a new and stronger faith in God and ever-growing Christian church. The question is, how long will the once land of the free remain, the United Socialist States of America? Little do the liberals know, if they stay on this wrong-headed track, that their suffering has only begun. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie.
Mr. Lerma, you also added an interesting twist to the article, whereby you juxtaposes President Obama with Vladimir Putin, noting that the Russian president has been sounding more and more like Ronald Reagan or other conservatives in America who seek to promote smaller government and lower taxes, where you attribute the following remarks to Putin regarding the country's taxes and the economy, and I quote, "We are reducing taxes on production, investing money in the economy. We are optimizing state expenses." Wow, did Putin actually say that?
Yes.
You're also right, and again I quote, "A second possible mistake would be excessive interference into the economic life of the country and the absolute faith into the almightiness of the state." There are no grounds to suggest that by putting the responsibility over to the state, one can achieve better results, and unreasonable expansion of the budget deficit, accumulation of the national debt, are as destructive as an adventurous stock market game, unquote. I am surprised. It is difficult for those of us in America to imagine those words coming out of the mouth of a Soviet leader. Do you think that Putin took a look back at the history of socialist, communist economic policies of the then Soviet Union and realized the total failure it was?
That's exactly what he did, and it was quite intelligent of him to do. So, look, during the time of the Soviet Union, the role of the state in economy was made absolute, which eventually led to the total non-competitiveness of the economy. That lesson cost us very dearly. I am sure no one would want that history to repeat itself. At least you would think that. I am telling you, anyone reading Putin's speech without knowing the author would think it was written by Reagan or another conservative in America. The speech promotes smaller government and less tax. It comes as no surprise to those who know Putin as a conservative.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. I just hope those on the left in this country, which has been the greatest governmental experiment to date, which has made the United States of America the most powerful and the most generous nation on the face of this planet. I know that those who lived it and recall the days of the former Soviet Union, or who have friends and family members who fled a life of degradation, will help the left see much truth is in your words, even to the point of envisioning the now famous Hope and Change campaign posters, which elevated Obama to a cult of personality that they strike just as Soviet social and economy policies struck fear and anxiety into the hearts of those who lived through really similar propaganda behind the Iron Curtain. It is ironic that your opinion column, so scathing of communism and so keenly perceptive of how history is repeating itself in President Obama, comes to us from the publication that was formed to be the official communist mouthpiece of the former Soviet Union itself. Perhaps that is what lends it all the more weight.
I would hope that they do. Your America still has a chance to wake up before it's too late. Now, should one be mindful of the fact that I consider Vladimir Putin a conservative? Yes, however, more disturbing still is that I find Putin conservative in comparison to Obama. Opinions on Putin vary greatly among those living in Russia, in much the same way as Americans differ in opinion on President Obama. What's more, my personal views on Putin do not necessarily negate that there is merit to my observations on President Obama. Russians who have witnessed the trappings of the former Soviet Union either during its height or in its aftermath tend to speak from a place of personal experience, something that warrants careful consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Lerma. There you have it, in the words of the columnist on his op-ed article concerning the cult of personality that has been built around Obama, and the parallels he sees between present-day America and the former Soviet Union, but the irony that the true crux of this is that the former official mouthpiece of the Communist Party, believes Obama is a communist and that Putin is conservative by comparison. That, of course, liberals, was the point of his article. And I hope you learned your list tab today. Socialism or communism does not work. Finally, in the words of our great songster Teddy Pendergrass, wake up everybody.